Hello, and welcome back to the Richard Taliaferro podcast, where we take a look at career insights and give advice to career changers. Today's guest is Andy Grant, host of the award-winning Real Men Feel podcast. Since 2016, Andy has been helping create a different kind of conversation around masculinity, one that makes room for vulnerability, purpose, fatherhood, emotional honesty, and healing. And this work is deeply personal for him. After surviving multiple suicide attempts and years of depression and disconnection, Andy found his way back through vulnerability, spiritual practice, ritual, and radical truth. Today, as a transformational coach, energy healer, and community builder, he helps men drop the mask, reconnect with themselves, and find real support without performative toughness. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Richard. It's great to be here.
All right, great to have you. And so, first, I want to talk about how you found your way to the work that you're doing right now. And not just as a podcast host, but as somebody who holds space for other men.
So, as you said, I'm a survivor of multiple suicide attempts, and I think I was 19 years old. I had tried to end my life by a means that I had already tried and didn't work. And that's when I really had to realize, all right, I'm not good at dying. I'm not good at living. There's got to be, what am I missing? And I really had one of those, the dark night of the soul. I was just sobbing, and I was begging, pleading, asking God, asking something beyond me for just something. I had some direction,
Yeah.
and for the first time, I felt this different voice. Like I was used to the voice, that the critic inside my head, that you suck, just get over it, you can't do anything right. I knew that voice. This was a softer, gentler, almost a whisper. And it said, Andy, if you share your story, the pain will all be worth it.
Wow.
And that was really the first time in my life I had the glimmer of the possibility of the chance that maybe I'm supposed to be here. Maybe there is a point to all of this.
Yeah.
And I took that message, but back then my parents loved me. They tried to get me help. I didn't want help. I didn't think I was worthy of help. But that message told me to share my story with professionals. So I went back to another mental hospital, but for the first time, I was a willing participant. I wanted to get better finally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was all through that, during that journey, I was an emotional kid. I was a sensitive kid. I thought that meant I wasn't a man. So all the work I do with men now, actually everything I do with clients, is something that I first learned to save my own life.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah.
It's intense. Yeah. And like what do you just mentioned something about sensitivity in men. And I'm sure you've heard of highly sensitive people, HSPs. When when a man is called sensitive, what have you seen in how they react to that?
Well, I'll own this.
Okay.
If I call myself sensitive, I'm fine with it. If someone else calls me sensitive, it still feels like it's a slur.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's rarely meant as a compliment to another man.
True. That's true. Yeah.
So my wife, me and my wife met because a friend of hers set us up, and I didn't know I was meeting her, but she was told that Andy is sensitive, and I was like, oh, like yeah, like it didn't feel supportive, it didn't feel good. It's weird, but so it's still there. But yeah, we're not. Masculinity is tough and cowboy up, and you don't need anybody.
Yeah.
And sensitive kind of denies that, but life is sensitive, right? Even the toughest man wants to connect with his partner, with his children, with his buddies, right? And we need sensitivity to do that. If we were all stoic and solitary as some believe men are supposed to be, we would have really drab, empty, rather meaningless lives, I think.
Mm. I think that's true. And I think agree 100% with that. And how do you help men see the connective tissue of being sensitive, and how does that play out with their lives, in their work lives, in their home lives, and in their lives of their friends and community?
Yeah. So we'll look at things in childhood and times that they felt left, times that they felt hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
Because most people will shut down the sensitivity because they were hurt.
yeah.
And the way to never be hurt again is to never allow myself to feel again.
Mm,
And that's a horrible mistake.
yeah, yeah. And it feels like it takes a lot of work for a man to unlearn all of that conditioning, unlearn all of those quote unquote lessons, and stop performing, masculinity. And in your work, how have you seen men take to this, or do they come to you with a level of skepticism or cynicism, or is there a level of curiousness about what you help them with?
Yeah. Ideally, if someone isn't curious, they probably aren't coming to me.
Okay.
So right,
Okay.
so they've got to be that. They've got to,
Yeah.
and it's usually guys like me, like, well, everything I've tried, or perhaps it's nothing I've tried, but what I've tried, I'm not feeling better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy, I'm not connecting, whatever it is. But and usually for men, there's some sort of rock bottom. The wife is given an ultimatum, or there's been a health scare or a career change. Something is making you look at your life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And often when men look at their lives, they don't necessarily like what they see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one thing I wouldn't say it takes lots of work, but it does take conscious effort, right?
Okay.
And I love you said it because we were habituated. We learned this poor way of living, I would say. So that's
Good.
great because that means we can unlearn it. We can learn something else.
Right. As you said, we have the capacity to learn how to be in the world in a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
And most things that don't serve us, they don't feel good. And most people know somewhere inside that, it might be something they've been stuffing down and ignoring or self-medicating with something, but our inner world is always telling us if our thoughts, feelings, actions aren't supporting us. There is this navigation system always happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if we listen to it, we can get better.
Yeah. Right. And in that listening, how do you help the men that you work with? How do you help them tap into that? Because they've tapped it down. They've tapped down that knowing, that inner voice for a long time because they felt like that's the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah. So when I work with people one-on-one, there's a lot of, I call it energy work. You might want to call it a guided meditation, but we work to remove other people's energies, thoughts, opinions, what you should do.
Yeah.
So many men, all their markers of success were told to them. Like, it's very rare to find a guy like, I wanted to do these things. Why this meant something to me. I know what it is, and that's why I accomplished it. So many times we accomplish, the great career, the picket fence, the family of three, the sports car, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's usually a list that someone else gave us.
Yeah, definitely. And to me, what that sounds like, there's this external checklist that we have to check off at the expense of the internal checklist that we have.
Yeah.
Am I on? Does that?
No, you're right. And most men are unconscious of that internal list. Right?
Right.
Because they're told how you feel doesn't matter. You don't feel.
Yep.
How can it matter? You're not supposed to feel, right? So
Exactly.
it's all about performing, protecting. And they're all aspects of masculinity, but they're just one of many aspects.
Right. And
because I encourage men to realize that openly loving their family is a way to protect and provide to your family as well. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Men are not, you're not just a paycheck.
Right. Right. And it's it sounds like you help them just see their lives in a different way, in a different frame, where it's less about their performing than than their actual doing.
Right. To me, it comes down to authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to be so comfortable in your own skin. Well, first you have to recognize who am I in my own skin, and then
Yeah.
be brave and willing enough to let others see that. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what authenticity is. It's dropping the mask, dropping the performative nature, dropping, not being, identifying yourself with one particular role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I speak about the man box often.
Okay.
This notion of all the constraints about society, build these walls around what a man is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Any box you ever find yourself in, be it a label from friends, family, society, a career, it's too small. Like we're all bigger than any label that could be. So yeah, like if you a box tries to give things structure, like physical stuff, it's gonna be, oh, it'll be a mess. But if we, as human beings, we are expansive in nature.
Yeah.
There's always more to life. There's more in our inner world. We want to do more, be more, have more, and a box constrains that.
Yeah. 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 And 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 I would imagine, you just talked about masks, and you help men drop the mask. What are some of the masks that men wear without realizing it?
The most common mask I see, and that I wore for a long time, is I'm fine.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Don't need you.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I'm doing. Like everything is just surface level,
Mhm.
because we have this belief that if I share that I'm not fine, I'm telling you that I'm weak.
Yep. Indeed. Indeed. And coming out of that is we as men have to let the world know that we are invulnerable.
Mm. Which is another mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we have this, being vulnerable means you're willing to take a risk. So you have to be brave to be
Yeah.
vulnerable. You have to be
Hmm.
courageous to be vulnerable. All
Hmm.
these things that we can see, well, though that's what a man is. Well, if you never admit that you're afraid of something, how can you ever be brave? How can you overcome something? We can't grow if we're in denial and wearing the mask that I'm fine.
Yeah. Hmm. And I wonder, when we put on the mask of I'm fine, is it that we think our burdens are ours alone to carry?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's the whole cowboy up mentality
Mhm.
that this what I call distorted stoicism, that everything's up to you. You must carry the weight of the world. That's your job as a man, and you suck it up. You man up. You do not share it. You don't speak about it. You don't complain about it.
Wow. Yeah. And that can lead to a whole host of issues.
Not
And
can, it
yeah, yeah,
does. Like
yeah.
I've never met someone that can do that without health effects, mental health effects,
Mhm.
relationship effects. Like eventually, trying to do everything on your own breaks down, because we are social creatures. We are
Yeah.
connected, right?
Yeah, right. Right. And I mean, it feels like we let go, in wearing that mask, we let go of that connectivity that you mentioned earlier. And it really, how it's like helping men rebuild those connective bonds, not just with their families and their co-workers, for example, but also themselves, and helping them get back to themselves. I mean, how do you see that kind of work?
It's a little different for everybody, but I try to
Hmm.
find the best way to navigate in. But
Yeah.
so some of the things that was recommended to me for years that I resisted because I thought it was nonsense are some of the simplest things that I recommend too. It's journaling,
Yeah.
gratitude,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? I had counselors telling me I should do a gratitude journal for at least a decade before I gave it a shot. Because I thought, I'm not some little girl. I'm not going to do your diary. Today was a horrible day. Like, I was not doing that. But then I just started, like, all right, what if I'm going to write down three things I was grateful for? And at first, it was very hard to admit that I could be grateful for something. Um, but eventually, I got joy from that. I was like, oh, this works. And the same with positive affirmations. Like, oh, you're just lying to yourself. I'm like, you're lying to yourself most of the time with the nonsense in your head, right? Although we tend to catastrophize and only see the negative and call it perfectionism. So now I learned, like, well, if I'm telling myself stories, I might as well tell myself stories that empower me and lift me up, and that, yeah, I've got this, and I can do this, and I can learn anything, I can help anybody that I meet, all sorts of things, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. And and you just talked about stories, and the stories that we tell ourselves is so critical. And you know, and the story that we as men can be grateful for something or joyful about something, it can feel a little weird, can it? Because
Well,
of all,
anything you're not used to can feel weird,
yeah.
right? So, like one thing, I'll bring men back to sports. If they ever played a team sport, even just watching sport on TV,
Mhm.
sports are one of the rare places where men are allowed to cry. You can cry for the big win, you can
Mhm.
cry for the big loss.
Yeah. Right.
Why? Why is that the only place that's allowed? Right?
Right. That's a great question. And it's, you know, if you can show emotion on the field or on the court, why can't you show emotion in your own living room?
Right.
And I'm wondering about permission. And does your work give men permission to feel gratitude and joy again?
Yeah. It gives them permission to feel,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And whatever blank they choose to fill it in with first, like
Mhm.
if someone is finally like uncorking decades of stuffed feelings, it might not be joy and gratitude. That's the first thing to come out.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
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 But even on the other side of every negative feeling that we might touch and retreat from, on the other side of that is peace. Like
Yeah.
emotions are energy in motion. They're meant ideally, we all get to the place where we're responding to the emotion of the moment, not that temporary circumstance triggers some emotion from age 15 that we never dealt with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it also feels like in the work that you do, you help men learn a different language about who they are and what they feel. Would I have that right?
No, you're very right. So I'm a teacher, healer, and ritual master with something called the Modern Mystery School.
Okay.
It is a hermetic lineage going back over 3,000 years.
Interesting.
One of
Okay.
the on the temple at Adelphi in Greece
Mm-hmm.
said, "Know thyself." So that's really what the school is about. Know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
And most men don't attempt that,
Yeah.
or they think that, well, I know myself. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a corporate executive. I'm a salesperson. Whatever it might be. But no, who you are is not what you do. It's none of these outside labels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and those outside labels can be so powerful, as I'm sure you've seen over your time as a coach and a healer. And getting un how in do you find that getting helping men get unwound from those labels is easy work, difficult work?
Again, it wouldn't. It just takes conscious effort.
Okay.
Any new habit. So our oldest, easiest lines of thinking are the neuronal path,
Mm-hmm.
neurological path in our brain is it's a rut. They'll think like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta get out of this rut. I fell into a rut, right? That's our easiest, most
Mhm.
comfortable way of thinking. So it takes efforting to realize you can get out of that and see a whole beautiful horizon of new thoughts and
Mhm.
possibilities that are you. So it's there's not a time frame. I've seen guys like have the shift in like a first 30 minutes of a session, and
Wow.
other guys will like resist and not believe it and take
Mhm.
longer. So
Mhm.
um it's a climb out. Sometimes the climb happens fast, sometimes it goes slow.
Sure. Sure. And so I want to talk about support for a moment, and not performative support, but real support. What's the difference between the two that you've seen in your work and sort of in the wider world?
So I've met many guys that will tell themselves that they gave counseling or therapy a shot, and because their wife insisted, they go to couples therapy
Hmm.
and they just nod and stay quiet. And on the way home, they unleash. Whoa, I was so pissed. I was wanted and like that's performative.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
there, you put on an act, and then you
Hmm.
tell the
Yeah.
truth after the session, right? So that's the most obvious way. But and then I've also seen guys that go to men's groups and lead men's groups and get guys to pull things out of them, but never give themselves the space to do the same.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a supportive leader all the time, but you don't seek support for yourself until
Hmm.
until perhaps it's too late.
Yeah. 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 And it's sort of when you talk about that, it's sort of again that like you said, a performative aspect where you know, we are seen as natural leaders and we take care of others in the tribe, as it were, but we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah. You said the magic word. It's we're seen as.
Yeah.
So when you're being performative when you're more concerned with how others are perceiving and judging you.
Hmm.
You're truly growing and healing and expressing yourself when your desire is to share what's going on. It's the authenticity is driving you. Your vulnerability is driving you. There's no concern for how someone else is going to react to it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I want to go back to the bravery and courage idea for a moment. And it really, I think I'm a little stuck on why we as men don't see being vulnerable as brave or courageous. I mean, is it just programming over the decades? Is it what do you think is going on?
So a lot of it comes from pop culture. There, there's very few big movies where it's a man saved the day by feeling. Right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all action and fighting, and right. It
Right.
just that's how it is. But one way that this really hit me in the face. One of my first paid speaking engagements was to a military audience.
Okay.
And I was
Okay.
telling the story of, some of my attempts and probably telling the story of being 19 and that dark night of the soul. And I had tears. And after I spoke, I lost track of how many different soldiers came up and said, "You are the bravest man I've ever seen." I'm like, "What?" Like, you've been under fire. Another guy,
Mhm.
you decommissioned bombs. Like, how? You're like, "Yeah, but I would never let someone see me cry." And I was like, that was like crushing to me. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's societal. And I believe it's taught to us. It's given us to way to again to avoid being hurt.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, stay compacted. Keep your heart locked up inside so that it never gets hurt. And it's just then it gets hurt in just a different way, really.
Uh, And when you say in a different way, what do you mean by that?
Our hearts get hurt by being alone and shrinking and shriveling,
Mm.
not being expansive, not feeling that connection. That men love the company of other men. We long for connection. In prior generations, they all had so many different lodges and societies, and you went and you connected, and you're just men only in a place. And I think that's why so many team sports are powerful, positive experiences because it's the locker room talk, not just for the negative aspects associated with that, but it's that place of feeling like you're supported. There's a group of men that have your back no matter what. But then outside of that game, it's like we don't take that with us. We don't take that sense of protection and solidarity with us to all aspects of our lives.
Mm. And do you feel that we are scared to do that?
Oh, no doubt. Um, I believe every addiction that someone might face is rooted in fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being rejected, fear of, so many people have had the experience, in a gym class or on the, recess and being picked last and just, or you finally get the nerve out to ask the girl of your dreams out and they just, look right by you. We have this, a fear of rejection really drives men to not open up and to not share how they really feel or what they really want so many
Mm.
times.
Mm-hmm. And with that fear of rejection playing a pretty central role, how does your work help men come to terms with that?
So I've often sent men to find a task that they can fail at to realize it doesn't matter, right?
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I'll use my own example. So I joined Toastmasters years ago, and I would sign up for a speech, and I decided I would intentionally not prepare, so I could go there and bomb and realize life went on. No one in the audience doesn't know I'm not prepared. They think I just can't remember the thing I worked hours on. Like, nope, I'm winging it just to see that I can survive winging it and fight and failing, right?
Wow. That's that's really fascinating because you gave it to me it sounds like you gave yourself a safe place to fail.
Right. I've sent guys to bowling if they're not bowlers. I've sent guys to square dancing if they don't square. Like, go somewhere where the whole point of it is to see how bad you are and realize it didn't really matter, and perhaps even have fun being bad at it.
That's amazing. Because it's you know there's to me it seems like there's a level of psychological safety that we as men are missing. And our brains have the tendency to load up some really crazy stories.
Yeah.
And as you said, we have to put some conscious effort into things. And going out to bowling and not even breaking 100. You come out of there, yeah, you didn't break 100. You missed. Sometimes you had some gutter balls,
Yeah.
but you came out of there okay.
Yeah.
That's a lesson. That's a big lesson.
Yeah, it is. Like, again, in my own experience, I catastrophized a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't take risks because, it's just going to so bad. But one thing I've just come to realize, often we are so busy judging ourselves,
Yeah.
and we assume everyone else is doing the same, but no, they're busy judging themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are not paying the attention that we think they are to us at all.
That's
They don't
true.
notice your gutter ball or your strike. Just
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's background noise and their self-judgmental plays.
And it's really, I think, a great lesson to just give yourself a chance to fail and realize you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing I point out often for guys is that so many men would rather be right than be happy. Sometimes you can be both, but if you insist on always being right, you're not going to grow, you're not going to learn, you're not going to realize failure can be fun or a growth experience or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And in the lessons that life has to teach us are often in the failures.
Yeah. Like the most successful people say they learned more from their failures than their successes.
Mm-hmm. True. And those are great lessons to keep learning and keep trying. And so on the idea of success, for a man who feels successful on paper or on their resume, but they feel empty inside, where do they even begin?
When I work with people like that, we start with their values. Because oftentimes people find out that they can easily like list some values, but then, well, are they really yours, or were these assigned? Did you assume these, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I first went through this exercise, my top value came out as safety. I was like, oh, good. I did a good job. I narrowed it down to one.
Yep.
And the coach I was working with said, well, safety, what's that? What do you think that's rooted in? Fear,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
So
right.
if my mission, my quest is always safety, I'm not going to do much.
Yeah, right. Right.
So I reworked it. And again, after years of growth and introspection and healing work, my top three values are freedom, love, and joy. So anytime I have a decision to make, well, will this bring me more freedom? Does this bring more love? Does this bring more joy? If it's yes to any of those, like, great, I'll do it. And if it's a no to all three of those, I'm like, well, then why would I do this? Or is it something I have to do? Is there a way I can bring freedom, love, or joy into this thing that I have to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how important do you think it is for men to identify what their values are?
Oh, crucial.
Mhm.
I believe what the world needs more is more men on mission
Okay.
to have a sense of purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
If you don't know what's important to you, I don't think you can be on mission or purpose, right? Otherwise, it's just performative. It's just checking the boxes, just hitting different numbers of salary, hitting different numbers of women, right? It's just everything is a scorecard. And the scorecard that matters to me, and I believe to humans, is the amount of joy you experience and you share.
Love it. Love it. And it feels like that's something that men can continue to tap into as they go along in their lives as they learn new skills. Feels like.
Yeah. And one of the best, greatest skills you can ever learn is how to put yourself first,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like Richard at his happiest, healthiest, best is better for everybody that you come into contact with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But drained, tired, beating yourself up, bludgeoning yourself with new insights and judging everything as wrong and horrible, you're not helping anybody, even if you think you are.
That's a good lesson to remember. It really is. It really is. And it reminds me of the old analogy, you're in an airplane and they're doing the safety briefing and you put your mask on first before you help somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So selfishness in the sense of, give me that. There's not enough. I'm taking that from you.
Yeah.
Bad.
Right.
Selfishness in the sense that what matters, like this is something I used to write when I first started journaling. I wrote, the most important thing today is that I feel good. That level of selfishness, I believe, turns into a selflessness that helps everybody.
It flips the script.
Yeah.
It flips the script. Yeah. Yeah. And so as we start to wrap up, what do you think are 3 ways that men can start coming home to themselves?
Yeah, I'll share. At least one has been mentioned already, and I share these because they're the lowest barrier to entry. You could be a millionaire or unemployed, and you can think of 3 things you can be grateful for. Right.
Yeah, right.
You can start with a piece of paper,
Mhm.
and first it's 3, and it might be a challenge, and it can be that I can walk and can breathe. I have freedom. It's a sunny day, whatever it might be. But 3, and then 5, and then 10, and just that starts your brain looking for things to be grateful for, as opposed to complain about. Right.
Right.
And second is meditation. And for a long time, I thought, well, I can't sit in the corner cross-legged for an hour. I'm not going to do this, right? But meditation is as simple as like 3 deep breaths, right? You
Right.
don't need a class.
Yeah.
You just need to give yourself permission to and see where you land. Allow all the activity in your brain to come down into your heart, right? These days, it's all how to regulate your nervous system. Like, yeah, breathe. It's the simplest way.
Simple as that. It's
right.
That simple.
And then a third tool is mirror work. So this is look at yourself in the mirror. Can you hold your own gaze? Can you look in your eyes? When I was first taught this and someone shared this with me, I could not. When you can hold your own gaze, I invite you to look into the mirror and go, Richard, I love you. Right. And ideally, it brings, it feels good. You can even giggle about it.
Yep.
When I first tried this, it made me angry. It like pointed out, like, oh, wow, like my core issue, complete lack of love for myself.
Wow.
Mm.
And,
But
and
yes,
it takes
try to
years.
hold your own gaze.
Yeah.
Talk nice to yourself, holding your gaze and see easy, can't do it, not going to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it just tells you a lot.
And I think for guys who are sort of maybe men who are a little bit self-conscious, those are three things that you can do without anybody knowing it.
Yeah. You can keep your self-respect, your privacy, whatever word you
Yeah.
want to assign to it. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need anybody's assistance. You can cowboy up and do these three things. Right?
Mm, that's fantastic. Now, is there anything that I missed in our conversation that you'd like to add?
Hmm. I just want to remind men that they matter. Right?
Okay.
You're not just a paycheck.
Yeah.
You're not just a penis. Right?
Right.
You're not just
Yeah.
again, you can be a provider, you can be a protector, but realize that comes, there's an emotional stability that can offer.
Mm,
Your willingness to feel, to be vulnerable, to be sensitive tells your children much more healthy, well-rounded things than just I'm fine.
yes. And being a great example for your kids and your community as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Really appreciated this conversation, Andy. I learned a lot, and hope that our listeners and viewers learned a lot too. So, Andy Grant, host of the Real Men Feel podcast, coach, energy healer. Thank you so much for being on. We'll have Andy's links in the show notes for everybody. And again, Andy, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
If you're looking for work that works for you, come find me at richardtaliaferro.com. Thanks for listening, and talk to you next week.